We have had huge crowds all over America, in Iowa, New Hampshire, California, Oregon, you name it. People ask me why. What I tell them is the American people are saying enough is enough.
Enough is enough from Bernie Sanders, steadily gaining ground on Hillary Clinton. Brand new Fox News polls show that the Democratic race getting a little bit tighter as you look at these numbers. Clinton dropping below 50% for the first time. And then look at Bernie Sanders. He's at 30%. A couple months back, mid-July, I should say, he was at 19%. So a pretty significant move for him. 2 weeks ago, Clinton was up by 29 over Bernie Sanders. Joining us now, former New Hampshire Governor John Sununu, author of the new book, The Quiet Man, about President George H.W. Bush. Governor Sununu served in his White House as chief of staff, of course. Governor, good morning. Good to have you with us today.
So, morning, Martha. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you. So what do you make of the Bernie Sanders situation? Is it for real?
No, Bernie is now representing the anybody but Hillary crowd. You know, your latest poll shows that she loses to Jeb Bush. She loses to Marco Rubio, and she barely beats some of the other candidates, including barely beating the most obnoxious and uninformed presidential candidate in history.
And that would be?
Mr. T.
I had a feeling. All right, we're going to get to that in just a moment. But, you know, I just want to stick with the Democratic side of this for just a second here. Do you think Joe Biden's going to get in, and what happens if he does?
Well, look, the pressure is going to start coming from the Democratic governors and the Democratic U.S. senators that have to run in 2016. And they're beginning to see Mrs. Clinton as a drag on her chances. So they're going to start pressuring the Joe Bidens and the John Kerrys of the world to stop diddling around and make a decision to get in. Bernie Sanders is gaining traction because the public is upset with the way things are going. What Bernie doesn't talk about is that the biggest upset is with the upset at the Obama administration, and any Democrat that's going to try and run as the third term of Obama is going to have a problem.
There was a quite public golf outing with President Clinton and President Obama. Any meaning behind that?
I'm not sure. Bill Clinton is a shrewd politician. He may have been sensing that President Obama's support for Mrs. Clinton had been waning in light of her horrible numbers, so he may be there trying to shore up some support for her.
All right, let's take a look at the numbers that you just mentioned a moment ago. For the first time, you've got Jeb Bush ahead of Hillary Clinton in the latest potential matchup, 44-42, within the margin of error, so it's pretty much a dead heat. Same situation with Marco Rubio, 46-44 by that measure. And Donald Trump, the candidate that you also mentioned earlier, loses to Hillary Clinton, 47-42. What do you make of these numbers?
Well, she's in trouble, and you know, she's going to have her October 22nd hearing on Benghazi. I cannot imagine that will do anything but add to her woes. The Democratic Party is grumbling. I hear Democrats talking about the problems they're having, and although they haven't completely abandoned Mrs. Clinton, they're not happy. They're not happy. There's not debates. There's talk that O'Malley and Sanders may have their own debate. She is in serious problems, and now I think she's exposed to criminal liability, which will add to her woes. The Democrats are going to have to decide what they're going to do by the end of September, beginning of October.
Yeah, well, that's about when Joe Biden says he'll make up his mind by the end of the summer. So pretty interesting. 6 months before Iowa, and this is getting more interesting by the moment. Thank you so much, Governor. Always good to have you with us.
And don't forget New Hampshire.
No, we won't forget New Hampshire. Don't you worry about that. We'll be all over New Hampshire. Thank you, sir.
We'll always have Manchester.